I hear two things all the time. Man, that's a rare Star Wars toy, and that's not rare at all. Well, what is rare? Is there such thing as rare Star Wars toys? What makes one rare and one not? Let's talk about it. It's me, the Junkman, coming back at you with another video. And what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're just going to talk about rare. Now, I'm going to focus this more on the Star Wars vintage collection, but anyone that collects toys, especially old vintage toys, knows the word rare. It's a keyword that a lot of people use when they're trying to sell stuff online. eBay, Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, wherever, they will use the word rare, even if it's not rare. But are any of the vintage Star Wars toys rare? I see this all the time. People say, blue snaggletooth, that's not rare. I can go on eBay and buy it right now. Does that mean it's not rare because you can buy it right now on eBay? And it got me to thinking maybe we should talk about rare. Now, to me, and maybe to you, there's different scales when it comes to rare. I mean, you got rare, and then you have extremely rare, and you have somewhere in the middle also. Now, let's say something's rare. A lot of people say, oh, blue snaggletooth is rare, and a lot of people say it's not. The thing is, when it comes to online, especially eBay, they are easy to find. But if you're talking about trying to find a blue snaggletooth at your local toy shop, a comic book store that sells old toys, even your whole state, chances are if you went to 20 different shops, you're not going to find a blue snaggletooth. And if you do, it'll be one where you'll find Luke and Han and the regular figures probably almost at every store, or at least most of the stores. So it is rare because it's something you just don't walk into a store and find. But again, eBay, online, does that make it not rare anymore? Well, that's billions of people coming to one place. So it kind of makes it seem like it's not rare when it is. Right now on eBay, loose vintage Star Wars figures, according to my search, was about 2,400 figures plus. It had a little plus next to it, so more than that. Now, how many 1978 Han Solos are currently on eBay right now? Well, I had to filter the search, take out words, because a lot of people put vintage stuff even if it's the 90s. A lot of people call it 1977, it was released in 1978. But I searched 77, I searched 78, added them together, took out some other keywords. So I came roughly around 200 Han Solo figures. That's Han Solo from 1978. You don't have to say smuggler or Han Solo, make up any kind of nickname for him. It's just plain old Han Solo. So roughly about 200 of them. What about Luke Skywalker? Now, no one would say a Luke Skywalker's figure is rare. And of course, we're talking about Luke Skywalker. You don't have to put up a made-up subtitle. It's not the F word. You don't have to say that. We all know. Luke Stormtrooper, Luke Endor, Luke Tauntaun. That even got me. Luke Endor, Luke Jedi, Luke Hoth, Luke Stormtrooper. You don't need it. Those got subtitles. So if you don't have a subtitle, you know you're talking about Luke. You don't have to use the F word. How many of them? Well, roughly about 250. Again, might be a little less, might be a little bit more, but for my search, it's right around that area. And what about Obi-Wan Kenobi? Or Ben. It seemed like as a kid I called him Ben. Now I call him Obi-Wan. But it seems growing up, he was mostly Ben. But Obi-Wan? How many of them on eBay right now? Well, according to my calculations, again, rounded off, there are about 400 of them currently on eBay. So we got Han Solo at 200, Luke Skywalker at 250, Obi-Wan at 400. You're saying, well, what about just a common figure? I mean, everybody's going to get the heroes. What about a common figure? Let's go to Reyes. He's only released in Return of the Jedi line, so there's not as many of them. Han, Luke, and Obi-Wan with Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. So what about Reyes? Well, according to my calculations, about 375 Reyes, loose or on card, is currently on eBay. So there's just some numbers right there. Anything that falls within that ballpark of these numbers would be common. It wouldn't be rare. Let's say there's 200 Han Solos. If I pull up a blue snaggletooth and I find 150 of them, I'll say, well, that's not rare. I mean, look, there's about the same number because that's what you go by. You have common figures and rare. I call it rare. At least my standards could be different for you. I call it rare, not if it's hard to find, not if it's worth a lot of money. It has nothing to do with the money. I call it rare if it was less produced. It didn't have a production run as the other ones. Because a less production means less figures were made, meaning it's rare compared to the regular figures. Blue Snaggletooth is rare compared to the other figures released in the Star Wars collection. So how many loose blue Snaggletooths are there currently on eBay? Well, I had to take out some keywords here also, like repo and reproduction. I don't know why anybody would want to buy a fake blue snaggletooth, but apparently some people do. And actually spend a lot of money for it. You could take that money you were going to buy a fake one, put it to the side, 6 months later, take that money you was going to buy a fake one, put it to the side, and buy a real one. But we won't get into all that. So how many blue snaggletooth are currently on eBay right now, graded or loose or anything? 45. Let's go over that again. Han Solo, 200. Luke, 250. Obi-Wan, 400. Reese, 375. Blue snaggletooth, 45. 45. Now I did take out if it came with the playset. I did take the playset ones. This was just by himself. So you can see there's a major difference between finding a Luke Skywalker or a Han and a blue snaggletooth. What about yak face? Everyone talks about yak face, how rare that is. Is it rare? How many of them were found? 17 currently on eBay right now. That's a huge number. This thing is rare. Only 17 of them. Now true, you probably can go any day of the week and see one on eBay and buy it. But there's a lot of collectors out there. There's a lot of people trying to buy them. And supply and demand is going to mean this thing's rare. Let's look at just a common release figure. I mean, Yakka Face sure is only released in other parts of the world. Blue Snaggletooth was only in the playset, or only sold through Sears, I should say. What about something like a Luke Stormtrooper released in the Power of the Force collection? How many of them are currently on eBay? 35. So see the difference here between a common figure like Luke, Han, Obi-Wan, Reese? Those are common. Those aren't rare. These are rare because look at the numbers. Even on eBay, when you have millions of people coming together, they're still very low. Less than 100 of these. And what about that early bird Luke? Double tip lightsaber Luke. There's no way you can say this figure's not rare. There's 5 of them on eBay right now. And what about Obi-Wan and Vader? Well, I didn't look them up, but they're almost impossible. They hardly ever come up on eBay. And we can even do this with some of the ships. The A-Wing released in the droid line is a rare ship. Slave 1, not rare. How many Slave 1s are there? Believe it or not, I only did complete. There's 24 of them complete, so that's kind of low end right there, but ships are usually a lot lower than the figures. A-Wing, 12. 12 of them online right now. Again, these are rounded off numbers. You might search and come up with a different number. Can we say a blue snaggletooth is rare? Well, again, compare it to the other figures. We can say it's rare. What is rare? Rare as in what? How is it rare? Well, it's rare compared to the other release figures. As you can see, the other ones are easy to find. And again, try to find these not on the internet. You could go to 5 toy shops a day. Chances are you're not going to see a yak face. I really seriously doubt it. You're really not going to see a double tip Luke. Again, you might find one, but chances are you're not. You're not going to find one at every store, that's sure. Snaggletooth, easier to find, I will give you that. But it's rare. Again, rare compared to the other figures in the line. Now, there is rare and extremely rare. I would call blue snaggletooth rare, as he's rare compared to the other ones, like I've said. Double tip Luke, double tip Obi-Wan, Vader, those I would consider more extremely rare. Then you got stuff like Anakin Skywalker on the Power of the Force card, very extremely rare. I don't know what you would call it, but it's on the high end of rare. You got low end, blue snaggletooth, I'll give you that. High end, something like a double tip lightsaber Vader. And someone on Facebook was telling me, well, people think it's only rare because it's worth a lot of money. Well, I can go on eBay or any toy shop now and find rare stuff that's not a lot of money. Money doesn't mean it's rare. It just means there's a high demand for it. But I don't know. I saw this topic on Facebook today about what's rare and what's not. And people were saying that's not rare. Why does people say blue snaggletooth's rare? I can find him on eBay. But he's rare. Again, just because you can easily find it doesn't mean it's not rare. It's rare compared to the other figures in the line. At least that's the way I look at it. Maybe you look at it different. So let me know in the comments below. Do you think these figures are rare, or should we just make up a whole new term for figures that are harder to find than the common release figures? Well, let me know what you think in the comments below. And until the next video, we'll talk again.
Hey, Junkman channel popping though.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.